and welcome to this special briefing by the Foreign Secretary on Prime Minister's visit to Maldives and Sri Lanka. After Foreign Secretary's initial remarks, we will open the floor to question and answer. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ravish. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will do the briefing today for Prime Minister's visit to the Maldives and Sri Lanka on the 8th and 9th of June. These are the first foreign visits that the Prime Minister is undertaking after the general election, and the choice of two neighboring countries, the Maldives and Sri Lanka, underlines the continued emphasis that the government lays on the neighborhood first policy. He is going to be given a state visit to the Maldives. This is usually reserved only for heads of state. And therefore, it is a mark of respect to India and to the Prime Minister that he is going to be given the treatment and welcome that is normally given to a head of state. This is the first visit of our Prime Minister to the Maldives since 2011. The last visit was by Dr. Manmohan Singh in 2011. That was for the SAARC summit, followed by a bilateral meeting. And before that, of course, Prime Minister Vajpayee in 2002. So we have a Prime Minister visiting Maldives after more than 8 years. The Prime Minister's visit, of course, continues the tradition of regular top-level exchanges, and I want to recall that after the election of the current government in the Maldives, we have had a visit by the Foreign Minister, Abdullah Shahid, in November 2018. We had the visit of President Soli in December 2018. We have had the visit of the Defense Minister, Maria Didi, in January 2019. We have had the visit of the former External Affairs Minister in March 2019, and now the forthcoming visit of the Prime Minister. So in the course of about 8 months, we have had intensive exchanges at the highest level and at the ministerial level. I just want to dwell on some of the program elements. Obviously, after the official welcome ceremony, there will be a meeting with President Soli. The two leaders will jointly inaugurate remotely 2 of the completed projects that we have done, and I will come to it a little later. There will be meetings with the Vice President, Mr. Naseem, the Speaker, Mr. Nasheed, and leaders of some of the political parties. And as you know, the Prime Minister has been invited by the Majlis to address the Majlis, which he will also be doing on the 8th of June. In overall terms, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a significant progress in the bilateral relationship since President Soli was elected in November 2018, and I just wanted to touch upon some of the positive developments that have taken place since then. We have signed a visa facilitation agreement, which has come into force in March, which is important because it addressed a number of issues which the government of the Maldives had in terms of visas, particularly for their students and for those who come for medical treatment. And from our perspective, it has given us a number of benefits, particularly for Indian businessmen traveling to the Maldives. We pledged budgetary support to the government of the Maldives of close to US dollars 200 million. $50 million has been given as a cash support for budgetary purposes, and the rest of it will be in terms of purchase of treasury bills, and that is an ongoing process as and when their central bank issues these treasury bills. We are in the process of finalizing the currency swap agreement, which is under SAARC. They had requested for an enhancement of the amount as well as an extension of the rollover period, and that is close to finalization. As I mentioned, the Prime Minister and the President will jointly inaugurate 2 projects remotely. One is the Coastal Surveillance Radar System. The other is the Composite Training Center for the Maldives National Defense Forces. These are 2 important projects. The total value is approximately 180 crores, and these will be remotely inaugurated by the 2 leaders. We also had offered the Maldives a line of credit of about 800 million US dollars. And I'm happy to inform you that 3 important projects have already been identified, and the project report preparation is underway. One is water supply and sewerage for 36 of the islands which are inhabited. Another one is the Addu Urban Development Center. Addu is an important town in the southern part of the Maldives chain. And a third project is an SME development financing project. So these three projects, we have already received the initial proposals and we are preparing a project report. Of course, there are other projects in the pipeline, but these are still being examined. We have started the work on high-impact community development projects. If you recall, when the former External Affairs Minister has visited the Maldives in March, we had announced that we would support this initiative of India by giving a grant of 50 crores of rupees. 14 projects have now been identified in various areas, including connectivity between islands, drug rehabilitation centers, and so on and so forth. And of course, we have already begun the process of dispersing the 1,000 ITEC scholarships that we will be giving Maldives over the next 5 years. Some agreements will be signed during the visit. At this stage, I would not go into the details, but we certainly expect that among them are agreements relating to customs, to white shipping, and also on training of civil servants. One of the focus areas is the P2P relationship, strengthening people-to-people relationship. If you recall, in April, we had invited President Soli, who is a very keen cricketer, to come and watch the IPL match in Bengaluru. And subsequent to that, he has expressed an interest in developing a cricket team in the Maldives and seeking India's assistance in training this team and in bringing them up to the requisite standards. So among his requests which are under examination, under positive consideration, are a cricket stadium in the Maldives, which we also expect to build under the line of credit that we will give. And we are also working with the BCCI. A team from the BCCI has actually visited the Maldives earlier in May for training of Maldivian cricketers, coaching programs, supply of kits, and so on. In addition to that, we are looking at upgradation of important cultural sites in Maldives, and a team from the Archaeological Survey of India, led by the Culture Secretary, had also visited the Maldives. That report is under submission, and we expect that there will be a number of projects there. And earlier this year, we had also supported the climate change initiative of the Maldives by gifting 2 lakh or 200,000 LED lights for the street lighting of Malé city. So these are some of the initiatives we have undertaken in this regard. To sum up, I think the Prime Minister's visit is essentially focused on 3 objectives. Firstly, it is to maintain contacts at the highest level between close neighbors. Secondly, we want to assist the Maldives as their development partner in the revival and development of their economy. And thirdly, of course, is to strengthen the people-to-people relationship we have with the Maldives. On the 9th of June, Prime Minister will also make a short but very packed visit to Sri Lanka. This, I might remind you, is the first foreign visit, a visit by a foreign leader to Sri Lanka after the tragic events of the 21st of April, when several bomb blasts resulted in huge casualties in Sri Lanka. It is a very special gesture, and it is a very clear message of solidarity that the people and government of India stand firmly with the people and government of Sri Lanka at this tragic time. We, of course, have a traditional friendship with Sri Lanka. This has been significantly strengthened in the first term of the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister's visit so early on in his second term is intended to very clearly signal that we intend to not only continue this engagement, but enhance our commitment in terms of the relationship with Sri Lanka. Despite the very short visit, he will be given the full honors, including an official welcome ceremony. He will, of course, have talks with President Sirisena, with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. He will meet the leader of the opposition, Mahinda Rajapaksa, and he will also have meetings with Mr. Sambandhan, who heads the TNA, the Tamil parties. And obviously, although the visit will be short, there will be a review of the relationship and identification of how we move ahead. Once again, I just want to highlight that since the last visit of the Prime Minister, which was in May 2017, roughly 2 years ago, I just want to highlight some of the areas in which we have made progress on the ground. Prime Minister had announced at that time that we would be giving 14,000 houses to upcountry Tamils, that is the Indian origin Tamils upcountry. The first tranche of houses, about 1,500, were handed over in August 2018, and we are in the process of actually completing the rest of the housing, which will be handed over later this year and in the first half of next year. We have also handed over the Ruhunu University Auditorium. This is the largest auditorium that we have built in any university in Sri Lanka in October 2018. Several high-impact community development projects, roughly valued at about 250 crores, are in various stages of implementation. This includes hospital equipment for Vavonia Hospital, the engineering and architectural facilities at Jaffna University, and the livelihood project at Hambantota. One of the big achievements, and certainly one which has caught popular imagination, is the free emergency ambulance services. This is an initiative of India to provide over 280 ambulances which will respond nationwide, island-wide, to any emergencies, and it is now operative in 8 out of 9 provinces, and it has been very greatly appreciated, not just by the government, but by the public as well. We have already commenced delivery of railway rolling stock under an earlier line of credit of about 2,800 crores. These supplies include diesel engines, it includes other rolling stock. From December 2018, this has started going to Sri Lanka. And there is, of course, a new line of credit in the railway sector also, which we are currently examining and which is under discussion interministerially. I want to draw your attention to 2 trilateral MOUs which we have signed, India, Japan, and Sri Lanka. One in April, which is for the LNG terminal, one just earlier this month, which was for the development of the East Container Terminal. These are important. And we have also completed, under a Exim Bank buyer's credit of about 60 million, a water supply project in Greater Dambulla. So on a number of commitments that the Prime Minister made when he went in May 17, we have seen significant progress. And we hope that when the Prime Minister goes this time, not only will we review those, but we will actually look at some new projects. Certainly, therefore, I would sum up this visit to Sri Lanka as firstly showing solidarity with the people and the government in the wake of the tragic events of the 21st of April and expressing our confidence in the government of Sri Lanka in overcoming this national tragedy. Secondly, Prime Minister will very clearly signal his commitment and the intention of the government at the highest level to build a strong relationship based on mutual trust and mutual sensitivity to each other's concerns in the coming 5 years. And thirdly, of course, discuss ways to enhance development partnership. I will stop here and I will take a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now open the floor to questions. Please introduce yourself, your name and your organization when you ask the question. Parikshit.
Sir, this is Parikshit from CNBC. Today, Mr. Jaishankar outlined his vision for India's foreign policy for the next few years, and he focused on connectivity in South Asia and economic integration as well. So on both these fronts, when it comes to connectivity and furthering closer economic ties with the Maldives, what are we expecting in the talks and what could be the takeaways?
Yeah, Siddhant.
Hi, sir. I'm Siddhant from Beyond. My question is on the 2 projects which will be remotely launched. Can you just give us a brief about both the projects, the coastal surveillance and the other project?
Madhurendra.
सर, जैसा कि आपने कहा, मधुरेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज़ नेशन, जैसा कि आपने कहा कि श्रीलंका की जो विजिट है वो सोलिडरिटी के लिए भी है और ख़ास तौर पर संबंधों को बेहतर बनाने के लिए है। मैं जानना चाहता हूं कि आतंकवाद के मुद्दे पर ख़ास तौर पर क्या कोई बातचीत होने वाली है? क्या आतंकवाद से जो पीड़ित श्रीलंका है उसको लेकर हम कोई असिस्टेंस देने वाले हैं? ख़ास तौर पर अगर हम इंफॉर्मेशन शेयरिंग की बात करें या टेक्निकल शेयरिंग की बात करें ख़ास तौर पे, तो क्या कुछ ऐसा भी होने वाला है?
Thank you. Parikshit, as far as connectivity is concerned, this of course is a priority for us with all our neighbors. And with Maldives, in any case, we already have a number of such projects, both in terms of connecting India to the Maldives as well as in terms of connecting Maldives, the islands themselves. Now, one of the areas which we are exploring and which we hope to have a concrete outcome is actually the commencement of a ferry service from Kochi to the Maldives. This is still something which is very much under examination, but we believe that this will significantly enhance connectivity between the two countries. As far as inter-island connectivity is concerned, as I said, one of the projects we're looking at, high-impact community development projects, is in fact island connectivity, providing speedboats, particularly for students, to move from one island to another. So this is certainly an area which we would like to develop further with the government of the Maldives, and for that matter, the government of Sri Lanka. As I mentioned, several of the LOCs actually deal with railway projects, and for us that is also important. Siddharth, on these two centers these two projects have been committed by government earlier. The Composite Training Center is a center for training the Maldives National Defense Forces, and it is this is a center which was requested by the government of the Maldives to provide a central training facility. This facility is now complete. We have done both the building itself and the so-called software. So it's going to be an official launch of that center, and this is something which will enhance the capabilities of the Maldives National Defense Forces. The coastal surveillance radar system is a system that we have shared with a number of other countries in our region as well. The idea is to monitor white shipping and to help that country to preserve its EEZ, its sovereignty in its EEZ, in its exclusive economic zone. And as this is, in addition to Maldives, a number of other neighbors have also been given the coastal surveillance radar system, so that also will be inaugurated remotely when the two leaders meet. Madhurendra, as far as terrorism is concerned, as you know, the government of India is ready to assist any country in whatever manner we can to combat terrorism. This is a common scourge, and we are ready to help develop capacity, share information, share intelligence. There are certain mechanisms that we already have. Obviously, I cannot go into the details of that, but suffice to say that obviously when we stand with the people and government of Sri Lanka, we also stand ready to assist them in any manner that they wish. And we will respond to whatever they desire in terms of dealing with this problem.
I will take the next lot of 3 questions. Srinjoy, and then Pranay.
So, is India speaking with Sri Lanka about not letting in aggressive military vessels like submarines into their harbors?
Sir Pranay from ABP News. Since Prime Minister invited BIMSTEC leaders in his swearing-in ceremony, and the first 2 countries he chose for his first bilateral visit is a member of the BIMSTEC, is India planning to build a consensus with these BIMSTEC countries to have a more counter-terrorism architecture? Because since he's going to Sri Lanka and expresses solidarity on security issues, is there any idea to build a consensus on a regional counter-terrorism or security sharing mechanism under the umbrella of BIMSTEC?
Ranjit ji.
Last year, Sri Lanka had offered one of its airport near Hambantota to India for operating the airport. So is India interested in managing that airport? What is the status now?
Thank you.
Thank you. Srinjoy, with a number of countries, we discuss a number of areas of mutual interest. I would not like to go into the details of what we discuss with those countries. Pranay, I will not answer questions on BIMSTEC because this briefing is exclusively on the visit to Sri Lanka and Maldives. I do want to point out that Maldives is not a member of BIMSTEC. But the visit to Maldives is important because it is a neighbor, and the Prime Minister is making the point that neighborhood first remains a priority in his second term as well. Ranjit ji, as far as this airport near Hambantota is concerned, there are a number of projects in which we are interested and which we are talking to the Sri Lankan side. As you recall, an MOU was signed for economic development cooperation in 2017. As and when those projects mature, if there is a bilateral understanding, we will be informing the public about it. As of now, on a number of projects, discussions are underway.
Yes, please. Ji. और नहीं है।
सर मैं संजीव हूँ न्यूज़ 24 से। वर्ल्ड कप चल रहा है सर, ऐसे में आप खबर दे रहे हैं कि भारत मालदीव्स को क्रिकेट टीम बनाने में मदद करेगा। किस तरह की ये मदद होगी? क्या हम किसी प्लेयर विशेष को वहाँ भेज रहे हैं और क्या बीसीसीआई ही सब कुछ करेगा? किस तरह की जो और जानकारी है जो आप हमसे शेयर करना चाहेंगे?
सॉरी, नैनिमा।
Sir, would you be sharing, so this is Nainima from the print. If you can say something on, if there'll be any discussion on the action plan for defense cooperation between India and Maldives. And also, there are reports that, India is building the Colombo port along with Japan. If you can shed some light on that, please. Thank you.
Parul.
This is Parul from SNI. Now the Prime Minister is going to two countries, Sri Lanka and Maldives, where the influence of ISIS is growing. How is India looking at, this situation in both the countries?
Thank you. Sanjeev, as far as cricket cooperation is concerned, as I explained, a team from the BCCI visited the Maldives earlier this month. There are a whole range of ways in which we can assist. As I said, one of them is to build a cricket stadium under a line of credit or some other means of financial assistance, which we are ready to do. They have requested for some coaching programs in India of young Maldivian players. That again is something that we are ready to, and that includes both men and women, and we are again ready to look at that possibility and assist the Maldives in that. They would like us to do some training programs in the Maldives, which we are also willing to do, and we have actually already given them some cricket kits and training kits, and these have been actually given by Government of India, not by the BCCI, but we would hope that the BCCI takes on additional responsibilities in this regard. Again, they want to have training in coaches, in umpires, in scorers, in match referees. So across the board, to the extent that we can assist the government of the Maldives to build up a national cricket team or to bring cricket to a national level, the government of India is ready and willing to assist them. We see this as an important people-to-people relationship building exercise in the same way that we did for Afghanistan, if you recall, a few years ago. So far as the action plan on defense cooperation is concerned, Nayanima, as you know, there are a few issues which we have already resolved, which is, if you recall, there was some issue which we had with the previous regime on the 2 ALH helicopters that we have stationed for search and rescue operations. That matter has been resolved to mutual satisfaction. There are other issues that we are, by the way, the coastal surveillance radar system and the CTC are also under this action plan on defense cooperation. We have recently refurbished one of their Coast Guard vessels, the Maldives ship Huravi, and that has been refitted and returned back to the government of the Maldives, and will also continue to maintain that for them. So a number of action points are already ongoing. On some others which are bigger projects, obviously bilateral discussions will continue, and as and when they mature, we will let you know. Parul, as far as ISIS influence is concerned, of course, this is a matter of concern for us. We have seen reports of alleged activity in many parts of South Asia. As I said, we are ready to cooperate with those governments and any other government that wishes to cooperate. Naturally, the demand and the kind of cooperation that they desire has to come from them. And on receipt of that information, as I said, our government will be happy to cooperate with them on this. Yes. Yes. On, this is a trilateral arrangement that India, Japan, and Sri Lanka will do on the East Container Terminal of Colombo Port. So we have reached an initial agreement, what is called a memorandum of intent, for a trilateral arrangement under which the Sri Lankan Port Authority, which is the PSU, public sector unit under the government of Sri Lanka, will hold majority share, and the remaining share will be held between entities of Japan and India. The exact shareholding pattern and so on still has to be worked out. But the intention now is that with the memorandum of intent having been signed, and that's a significant achievement, we will now go into discussion about the scope of the port, the manner of the financing, the timeline and so on. So we are at the start of a process, but for us this is an important achievement, and the fact that we are partnering with Japan is also, in a sense, not something just of bilateral significance, but also shows that we are willing to partner with other countries in developing infrastructure in our region.
I'll take the last round of 3 questions. Yeah, Diji.
सर ब्रह्म प्रकाश दुबे जी न्यूज़ से मेरा सवाल मालदीव को लेकर है। मालदीव को लेकर है कि आपने कहा है कुछ मुद्दे सॉल्व भी हो गए पिछले रिजीम के। पिछले रिजीम के वक्त ये भी आ रहा था जो वहाँ पर भारतीय रह रहे हैं उनको मुश्किलें हो रही थी, उनके मुद्दे थे, तो क्या वो सब सॉल्व हो गए हैं या इस यात्रा के दौरान वो मसले उठेंगे?
Anybody else? I think there was a hand right behind. Yes, please.
So once upon a time, we were very high up on energy security with Sri Lanka. There was talk of Kaveri Basin, Mannar Basin exploration, Trincomalee farm talks. Are those still in discussions?
Your introduction, please.
I'm Sandeep Dikshit. I'm with the Tribune.
Huh.
This is Nidhi from Reuters. So, is this a strategy of India to partner with Japan to counter the influence of counter the rising influence of China in Sri Lanka, or maybe are we going to our neighborhood to address that issue with Maldives as well?
Thank you. Sir.
Thank you. Prakash ji, this is an important subject, and this has been something we have taken up both with the previous government and the current government. I'm happy to inform you we have very positive information on this from the current government. A number of work permit related issues which were held up, if you remember, a number of Indians who had to renew work permits were unable to get them renewed during the previous regime. Our understanding is that this has been wholly or almost wholly addressed. We are also in discussion in ensuring that the future work permit process is smoothened out. So this is certainly a priority for us, and we are in constant discussion with them. It may not necessarily figure at the highest level because we have a good working understanding between the foreign ministries of the two countries on this issue. On the issue of energy security, Sandeep, I would have to revert to you. This is an area which I do not think we will be discussing when the Prime Minister goes, but allow me to revert to you on this. Nidhi, I think that I don't think we should see our cooperation with any country in our region as necessarily having some ulterior motive or being directed against another country or being part of some grand strategy. I think our objective is that infrastructure development in our region benefits our economy and the economy of that country. We recognize that we have limited capabilities. Within those capabilities, we are making all efforts bilaterally. But when major foreign investors like Japan are also willing to join projects which are of our national interest, we have no objection in doing it with them. And this is a model I can say you will see not just in Sri Lanka, but in the coming days in a couple of other neighboring countries as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
With this, we conclude this special briefing on Prime Minister's visit to Maldives and Sri Lanka. Thank you all for joining.